Hey there, everyone. Welcome to Ask Me Monday. I'm Vicki Howell, here to, hang out, start our weeks creatively together, and maybe teach you a new skill. How's about that? We are going to be covering Tunisian brick stitch today, and you don't have to have ever done any Tunisian crochet before. I'm going to show you, I'm going to establish it. I'm going to give you some basic knowledge about it, and then at VickiHowell.com you can get all the written instructions as well. So I'll do that in a second, but I'd love to start, as we always start Ask Me Monday, by hearing about where you're watching from. I'm at the Yarnier Studios in Buda, Texas, and what you've been doing to be creative. I want to hear about those projects. What are you working on? It's Me Made May, so what are you making? I failed and did not bring what I worked on over the weekend. First of all, or second of all, or third of all, wherever we are, happy belated Mother's Day to all you caretakers out there. I hope you got a little time to relax. I got a little tiny bit. I did a bunch of work, but I did I worked on a project that is just for me, just for fun. It is called the Gertie cardigan, I believe. It's from a UK designer. I want to say her name is Holly. That's not that helpful, but it's actually a free pattern from Love Knitting, and I'm using, I had yarn special colors for the 3rd anniversary of my business. Yarnier is this month, and we had special colors made to celebrate from 2 different women-run businesses. So one is Sweet Georgia, and this color is called Aquaversary, and one is from Wool & Woman's Fibers, and this one is called The Real Teal. And I wanted to have there's a project in the box, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, but I wanted to have something wearable that I could kind of remember them by. So I'm striping that with some Ritual Dyes DK. It's like a black, kind of a gunmetal and black variegates. So I worked on that, and it was super, it's just granny stripes, so it's super meditative, and it's really nice. So that's what I worked on over the weekend. It's really hard to post links in the middle of these chats, but if you're watching live and you want to come back later and share a pattern or a recipe or something that inspired you over the weekend, even if it's a book you're reading or listening to while you're stitching or whatever, please do that in the comment section below. Also, feel free to chat and reach out to someone if you see somebody in your neighborhood that you might want to get out of the house, meet up at a park, and stitch with, socially distanced. That would be great. This should be it's my intention that this is another community outlet for you. So please do that. Just some quick hellos. Hey, Sheila. She's watching from Pennsylvania. So the thing, here we go. It's a slow scroll, people. It's a slow scroll. Chris, good to see you. Debbie, good to see you. Denise in Washington. Charlotte, so nice to see you. If you are given a little watch, hi Christina in Kansas City, and Caddy is working on a garter stitch baby blanket. Hi Brenda. Donna in Jackson, New Jersey, and the names by faster now. Somebody's working on the anniversary bag. Hi Sharon, hi Debbie. If you know anybody that might be interested in today's episode, please share the videos. It really does help. And then if you go to VickiHowell.com, you'll see the post for today. And anytime you want to, you can click on the Ask Me Monday link or go to the videos drop down and click on Ask Me Monday. And on my website, you'll see links to this is episode 198, to all of the things and all of the patterns. So if you're interested in sort of kind of binging on that content, or you know somebody that might like it, please share. I'd appreciate it. So I mentioned at the top that this is my business Yarnier's 3rd anniversary, and I wanted to up front, before we dove into our tutorial, just fill you in on a couple things that we're doing surrounding it. So if you wanted to spread the word or join in yourself, that would be great. So one thing is that I am giving away a $1,000 Maker Business Grant that includes that cash, but also 2 mentoring sessions with me, small business mentoring sessions with me, a feature in our newsletters, and also on social media, to a maker-based business. It can be used for advertising, for inventory, for a piece of equipment. It's really just, my intention is for it to just be that little extra boost that you might need to get your business either off the ground or to the next step, or, you know, stay afloat during these tough times. So if you are interested in applying for that grant, it is the Maker's Business Grant. It's the Yarnier Maker's Business Grant. You can go to yarnier.com and you'll see that at the, you'll see there's a header and you can just click on it. Or you can always go to my website, vickihull.com, go to the Yarnier shop, click on that. Applications are open through June 1st, so don't delay. It's not a long application. We just want to know a little bit about you, your business, your intention, and that kind of thing. So that's that. The other thing is our, you know, every month, part of Yarnier, the big part of Yarnier is a subscription box that I lovingly curate and have my hands in every single month. This month, there's a bunch of amazing stuff, but everybody who subscribes is also entered to win one of 3 prizes that are worth collectively $600. So it's one of my new Vicki Howell Aqua Swifts, which would be better if I actually had one to show you right now. A set of Vicki Howell Aqua double pointed needles, or there's this grand prize that's like one of every color of my Mad Tosh home collection, and a bag and a couple other things. So that one is worth about $300. So just by subscribing to me, you're automatically entered to win that. So check that out. Find it at yarnier.com. We're down to our last, this has been incredible. I mean, we're down to our last maybe 30 boxes and we upped our, it's been incredible. Everybody's so excited about it and that makes my whole heart happy. If you're here for the tutorial, just fast forward to my hands. If you're watching this later, I know I'm talking a lot. So this is what our box looks like. You get 3 patterns. You get both yarns, our special put up of both yarns. We sent them a palette. We sent these 2 companies a palette and said, interpret it any way you want. And they came back with their own takes on it, which I just love. We've got an Aqua Yarnier tassel maker. And then you get a, can you see that over my shoulder? Then you get a silver washable paper project bag, which I super dig. So those all come in the Yarnier May box. So we get 3 patterns, and why this is all relevant for what I'm talking about today is one of the patterns is a bonus pattern. We normally do 2 patterns, but 3rd anniversary, free one. The bonus pattern is for this Tunisian Crochet zippy bag. The bag uses the brick stitch that we are going to be learning today. So you get the pattern for free if you subscribe to May, but you can also just buy the pattern. We did something special. We put it up at Yarnier, but just go to vickihull.com and I've got the information for that too. So if you want to make this bag, you absolutely can, whether or not you're a subscriber. But I also have instructions just for swatching. So if you don't want to make it either, just learn the skill. So that is up at vickihull.com, the information about this bag. The other 2 projects are not relevant to today's tutorial, but I've got them here, so I'm going to show you. It comes with a crochet bag and a knit bag. This knit bag, I am obsessed with this fabric that was created with the 2 yarns, 2 different yarns, and it is using a stitch called jacquard. So I'm actually going to be showing this stitch to those who are attending Vogue Knitting Live this coming weekend. I'm actually on the 13th, I'm going to be doing a free event with them, La-di-da-di, I like jacquardi, and I'm going to be showing you, be showing you this stitch, and then I'm going to be doing some giveaways because I like giving presents on anniversaries and birthdays and stuff. So we're going to be doing all of that. So make sure if you're going to VKL, please check it out virtually, please check that out as well. Okay, that was a lot of talking about other stuff. Now let's get down to the nitty gritty of the Tunisian brick stitch. Okay, so before I flip over the camera and show you the technique, let's talk tools. I think that I neglected to mention at the beginning of this that Ask Me Monday is brought to you in part thanks to the support of Knitter's Pride and Knit Pro. So all of the needles and hooks that you always see me using will be theirs. They're really great products. I believe in them so much that I had them manufacture my own line as well. So we are going to, I highly recommend for Tunisian Crochet in general, they have a ginger interchangeable set. So this, you can change out different size cords, which would look like this. And so if you're making a blanket, you might want a longer cord. If you're making a shawl, this might be just right. There's different lengths. So for this, for the project, like for this bag project, or if you turn this into something else, then you're going to want to use something like this that's longer. Probably because we're just swatching, I'm probably just going to use the hook without the cord because it's such a small piece and we're on camera and I have a mic by me. I just don't want it to hit on the table, but you would use that with the interchangeable thing. However, if you've never done any Tunisian crochet before and you feel like, I don't know that I want to go and invest in even one hook right now. I don't know if I want to invest in new equipment because what if I'm not into it? For the swatch only, not for the bag, not for any larger project, but for the swatch that you can find instructions for at VickiHowell.com only, you could actually use one of Knitter's Pride's ginger hooks. The Dreams would probably work as well, just for the swatch. They're plain old, not Tunisian hooks. Here's why. You wouldn't be able to use one of their other hooks, like this is a Waves hook that has a wider handle than it does head and tip. But the wooden, all of their wooden lines, they have barely just a little flattened indentation, but the circumference is pretty much the same. So if you want to try with one of these hooks and then see, make a life decision on whether or not you're going to invest in a Tunisian hook after, that will totally work. So just giving you some options. Alrighty, so I'm going to put the camera over and we are going to get started. So talk amongst yourself. This part is never pretty. All right, so we're set up here. I'm going to bring this closer so you can see what we're doing. This is color work, and you could do this with two completely different colors, but I just love playing with creating new fabrics with yarns that maybe you wouldn't think would go together, but actually do something very sort of magical when they are paired together. So I'm using those two different colors, and what you can see is there are these little sort of windows that are created with these front post stitches on a bed of Tunisian simple stitches. And that creates another level of both texture and also color play because you are pulling up a different color across the bed of the opposite color. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. All right, so you're going to start with a swatch, and I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to just use the hook today. I'm not going to use the cord just because we're only swatching and it's not a big swatch. So I'm using DK weight yarn and an H hook. For the swatch, it doesn't make any difference what size you use as long as you use the hook that corresponds with it. And I would actually go up a hook size or two. So this is a DK. I would normally use a G hook with it if I were just crocheting, regular crocheting, but I'm choosing an H. And then you'll need two different yarns. Like I said, they can be completely different colors or they can be different textures, but they do need to be the same weight so that your gauge isn't thrown off. All right, so we are going to start with color A, and I'm going to just make this color A. This is the Zebra DK in the real teal. And you just need multiples of 4 plus 1, so you're going to chain it, just a regular chain. 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's a multiple of 4 plus 1 would be 13. I think that the swatch that's on the website has 17. It really doesn't matter, just as long as you have a multiple of 4 plus 12. Okay, then we are going to do this is just essentially a foundation row. It's how you start most Tunisian projects. So this is not a row that you'll be repeating, but it is how you're going to start. So when you're working in Tunisian crochet, one row is always worked in two passes, a forward pass and a backward pass. It's written in different ways. Sometimes you'll see row 1 forward, row 1 backward. Sometimes you'll see row 1, sometimes they'll call it row 1, row 2. It's usually written out so it explains it, but we are working with an oral tradition, so there isn't necessarily an across-the-board standard. All right, so from here, the easiest way, you could go into the regular chain if you'd like. I think it's even easier to go through the nose of the stitch. So you see that little guy that kind of looks like a nose poking up? I would go through that. So the first one that you see, you want to insert with your hook, yarn over and pull through. And what we're doing right now is we're going to be loading up our hook. So this is where it's different than regular crochet. Instead of just working with, one loop at a time on our hook, we are going to fully load it with all of the loops. So we'll go to the next one. And this is our forward pass of our foundation row. And again, you can find these instructions at VickiHowell.com. Okay, so I'm just going in every little nose of each chain. And you can see now why it's important that you're not working with a regular crochet hook that has a big handle, because you wouldn't have any place for your stitches to go, or they would be at a different gauge rate. Okay, so I'm going all the way to the end. I'm loaded up. Okay, and so you will end up having whatever your multiple of 4 plus 1 is. So for this particular piece, I had 13, including that first loop that was on your hook before we loaded it. Okay, so this is the forward pass. So now we need to get back. We need to do our backward pass. The backward pass that I'm going to show you right now is the exact same backward pass that you will use for every backward pass for all of the rows of this stitch pattern. It'll be exactly the same. So you'll always do this. I won't keep showing it to you likely, but just so you know. So you get to the end and you chain 1. And what that does, just like with traditional crochet, is that gives you the height for the row. So you're getting up to that next level. All right, from here on out, we are going to yarn over and pull through 2 stitches. And we're going to do that all the way to until we get to the last pass, and I'll show you what that means. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, etc., 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 till we get to our last 2 stitches. When we get to our last 2 stitches for this stitch pattern, we now want to join our color B. So we join that in the last 2 stitches of our backward pass of whatever that row is. So I'm just going to lay over my next color, and that'll count as the yarn over, and you pull through the last 2, and that joins that second color, and that's all there is to that. Okay, so now we've got our foundation set up. We don't have to go through any of that. Again, that just gets us started. Okay, this stitch pattern really involves a series of Tunisian simple stitch rows and then rows that have these long double crochet rows, or intermittently. So first I'm going to show you, this is a refresh for, we've done Tunisian simple stitch on Ask Me Monday before, but we'll do a little refresh. So this first row, this would be row 2, is going to be worked with B, and we're going to be doing Tunisian simple stitch. And what that is we take my tails, oops, so that's a caution. Let me be your cautionary tale. Make sure that you have, I didn't mean that pun, I mean, did I? Make sure that you have a long enough tail that you don't lose your piece. Okay, so you don't count this first stitch, like this loop is already 1, it's already loaded up. So we're going to go to the next one, and we're going to the bar. So you can see right here, this stitch. If you look at it from this angle, it looks like a little bit of a horseshoe. We're only going through the front leg. So we insert the needle, yarn over, and pull through, and that loads up our stitch. So this is the forward pass. So forward means that we are loading our hook. So we're just going through that front leg of each stitch until our hook is totally loaded up. So let me bring this closer. Just, you're going in through that front bar, yarn over, pull through. The other reason that I really like, well, both the regular ginger crochet hooks and these Tunisian ones, is that you can see having this really pointy head is super helpful for just getting in that one bar. Okay, so we've gotten through our forward pass. we're at the end, the chain 1, that counts. You want to just sort of jab your hook through wherever you can on that chain. All right, so then from there, all you're going to do is you're going to do the same backward pass. So I won't do all of it, I'll just start it. We're going to chain 1, that gets us up on our height, and then we will keep going all the way to the end, and we are going to do the same thing at the end. Well, I'm almost there, I might as well just do it. We'll do the same thing at the end where we are going to switch colors. So I'm switching colors for this stitch pattern every row, which means every 2 passes after every forward and backward pass. So I'm to my last 2 stitches. So I'm going to pull up color A, and now I'm set up for my row 3 forward pass. Okay, so this is where, so row 2 and 4 are that Tunisian simple stitch, which I just showed you. So for row 3 and 5 are going to be very similar, the same idea, but just at different intervals. So we are going to be doing a combination of Tunisian simple stitch, which I just showed you, looks like that, but intermittently we're going to be adding these long double crochets, and you can see that here. It kind of has a 3D effect. So for row 3, we're taking our color A, and we are going to work the Tunisian simple stitch in the next 3 stitches. Again, this loop counts as the first stitch, so we're working in the next 3. So we're just going to pull through as we did on the row before. 3. Okay, from here, this is where we're going to start the long double crochet. The long Tunisian double crochet. So we are going to work in the row below. So that's going to be down here. And we are working, instead of working in just the front bar like we do with Tunisian simple stitch, we're going to be working around the whole stitch. So what that means is we're going to be working a double crochet. So we yarn over first, then we're going to work around. It's sort of like the post. If we were working in regular crochet, I would say it would be very similar to a front post crochet. But what we're doing is we insert our needle so that it goes under both the front and the back leg. We yarn over, we pull through 1, and then we yarn over again. We finish off that double crochet by pulling through 2 loops. And now you can see you've got this pop. That's where you're getting that contrasting yarn, creating that window effect in front of the other fabric and the other color. So then from there, we're just going to be working 3 Tunisian simple stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and then we know we're working on multiples of 4, so it's time for us to work another long Tunisian double crochet. So we're going to yarn over. We're going into that stitch below, through both legs, yarn over, pull through a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And you're just going to lather, rinse, repeat until you get all the way to the end, and you'll end with 4 Tunisian simple stitches, just like you can see you started with, because that first loop that was on the hook counted as 1. All right, so you're going to, that would be row 3. You'll do the backward passes I've shown you a couple times now. Row 4 will be the whole row of Tunisian simple stitch, which I've also already shown you. So I'm going to show you what the last row looks like, which is the row 5. Row 5, we've learned all the skills that we need to know to work Tunisian brick stitch. The only difference here is that so that our piece looks like bricks and not just columns, we need these long stitches to be staggered from the 2 rows below. So for this particular row, we are going to do 1 Tunisian stitch instead of 3 to start. So we've got our 1 loop that'll count later as 1. So we're going to do 1 Tunisian simple stitch. Instead of doing 3 here, we're just doing the 1, and then we will start. We're going to go our 1 row down. So this would be this row. We're going 1 row down. We're doing our long Tunisian double crochet. So as you can kind of see here, it's staggered. We didn't have our first one until way over here on row 3. All right, so I'm going to just continue this row all the way across. So now I want to resume. I'm going to do 3 Tunisian simple stitches, and then on the 4th one I'll do the long Tunisian double crochet. And if you have questions and I'm missing them because I'm looking at my needle right now, please just type them in the comment section and I will come back after the live broadcast and do my best to answer your questions. Okay. This one's super easy to see because it happens to be the marled part of this yarn. You can see where that stitch is. So I'm going underneath both legs. Again, thankful for my super pointy tip on this ginger Tunisian hook. Okay, so I am going to keep going until we get to the end. Okay, so the only thing, that is it. So these 4 rows, remember the foundation row, we're not repeating again, are your repeats all the way until you get a square piece. Oh, you can see if I didn't have a cord, so my piece slid off. That's why you have a cord. For a swatch or for a bag or for a scarf or whatever you. This makes a very dense fabric, by the way, so it's really good for bags or home decor projects especially. Would be a great pillow, so just keep that in mind. Okay, the last thing that I want to show you, and I don't have another piece, so I'm just going to finish this one off, is I want to show you how to bind off in Tunisian crochet. Just a basic bind off, which will work for most projects, you know, unless there's a fancy bind off count. Hopefully I have enough yarn here. Let me just finish this pass. I've got a little piece of thread. I don't even know where that's from. Fiber Studio, you have stuff everywhere all the time. And we spent like 120 hours winding yarn over the past few weeks, and so there is just fibers everywhere. Okay, so I went all the way to the end. All right, so at this point we need to bind off. So to bind off, and here's why we have to do this in a particular method and we don't just, you know, snip the yarn and just fasten off and call it a day, because you'll see this last row will have these gaping holes in it. Now, if you were making a project where you wanted there to be something gathered, this is a perfect opportunity. You could leave it like that and you could, you know, weave in a piece of ribbon or something like that. Or if you just liked the look of this lacy row, you could leave it like that. Or if you wanted to tie fringe in each one of these holes, you could leave it like that. But if you don't want to have 1 row of holes, you need to use this bind off method. So we are going to yarn over and we're going to insert the hook through the 2nd bar. And pull through. And then we want to pull through the loop all the way through, both loops. I didn't say that very well. I'm going to do that again. We're going to yarn over and we're going to pull through each loop. So there's a couple different ways. Sorry. We're going to insert our hook, yarn over, pull it through 1 loop, and pull it through the next loop. I apologize, I did an extra yarn over. Yarn over, pull through, pull through. And see what that's doing is, whoops, I didn't pull through all the way. What that's doing is that is creating fabric to fill in that space. And you just do that until you have all of those spaces filled and you've gone through every single bar. So it looks like simple Tunisian simple stitch, sort of, except for you're pulling through, instead of loading up the hook, you're pulling through all of the loops so that there's no loading up. So that also means there's no need for another pass. So when you get to the end, you'll get a piece like that, and those holes will disappear. And that, my friends, is it. That is Tunisian brick stitch, and here it is in the cheerful bag that I designed. And it's simply, this bag is made with just a square of fabric that we folded and seamed and then added a zipper to, which I also have a tutorial for, and then a lining. So it's not, this is absolutely like a beginner could do this project no problem. So think about it for sure. All right, I'm gonna flip around again. All right, so that's super fun. I am hoping to do a bunch more Tunisian crochet coming up, because I also have my own Tunisian sets that Knitter's Pride manufactured for me that are OBS, Aqua, and it just makes me super happy to work in Tunisian crochet, and I don't do a lot of it, so I'm going to start working on more projects. So if you're interested in learning more stitches, please let me know in the comment section, and I will make that happen for future Ask Me Mondays. All right, so that is it for this week's episode. Please don't forget to go to VickiHowell.com for the swatch. There's also information on getting this pattern, either purchasing the pattern or getting it for free if you subscribe to the Yarn box while supplies last. Don't forget to check out the Maker's Business Grant if you have a small maker business. It could be anything. It could be an Etsy shop to a full website. Up to you. You could be a designer. You could be a writer. You could be a musician. Doesn't really matter. You just have to be making something. So be sure to check that out at yarnyay.com and meet me back here. I am not. There won't be an episode next Monday. I'm actually taking my very first trip, post-COVID trip. I've gotten both my vaccines and I'm ready to go, and I'm going to meet up with my best friend who I've not seen since January 2020. So I will not be here next Monday, but I will be back the following Monday, which I believe is the 24th, but don't quote me on that, for our next episode. But I will be back on the interwebs this Thursday, the 13th, with VK Live. So through there, showing the jacquard stitch and doing some giveaways, giving away some tote bags and some other stuff. So if you are so inclined and you will be participating in VKL, please check that out. All right, have a great time the rest of the week. Please take a little time to be creative. Don't forget to tag at Vicki Howell if you try this technique or any of the techniques that I've shown you on Ask Me Monday. I love seeing what you're making. All right, take care, be safe, be healthy, and be kind to one another. Bye.